Hello and welcome back to Retro Haven, guys. After the immense success of Resident Evil 2, Capcom was able to focus on this series as a long-running franchise. But the Resident Evil 3 that we all know and love was totally different from what we get in the end. So, with a new series of our retrospectives, we will cover Resident Evil 3, its story, and what happened that we have this game instead of what Capcom had in their mind. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and welcome to Resident Evil 3 Retrospective, Part 1. The success of Resident Evil 2 made Capcom sure that they have a winning formula at hand. But what they did after was no-brainer. They decided to go and start a new game for the third official installment. This new game was supposed to have Claire Redfield and Chris Redfield as playable characters. They were facing multiple obstacles that they did not expect in the way though. First of all, when they tried to create this new and next-gen experience, they needed something stronger than Sony's PlayStation 1. But Sony had other ideas. Based on the contract between Capcom and Sony, the team behind Resident Evil should create at least 3 main titles for PlayStation 1, and this was a major issue for the people. But Capcom was not empty-handed. At the same time, they were working on some spin-off projects, and one of them was about a dire escape from the streets of Raccoon City. So, they decided to change this spin-off and make it an official numbered title. So Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, or if you are familiar with the Japanese version, Resident Evil 3 The Last Escape, was born. There were many speculations about who is the main character of this new game. But after they have decided to turn it into a main series entry, they brought one of the veterans back. Yes, Lady Jill Valentine was back to control the helm of this amazing project. The project was given to one of the people in the Capcom who had a great track record. His name was Kazuhiro Aoyama, and he was a major player in creating Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. So, as a result, they decided to use him as a director this time. Once again, Shinji Mikami was a producer of this game and did not get involved in creating the game directly. The team working on Resident Evil 3 were focused on 2 major things. One, having a pursuer that was inspired by T-1000 in Terminator 2, and the other one was amazing action experience. Yes, Resident Evil 3 was the first starting point for action-oriented RE titles. Almost every single character inside the game were new people, and the familiar faces were only 2. So, the team had 1 year to work on a miracle. And what they did do? They tried to use many of the things that were used in Resident Evil 2. Character models, environments, and a lot of graphical aspects were borrowed from amazing Resident Evil 2, but worked to create much better on PlayStation 1 graphics. In the end, after months and months of working hard on this project, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was released to the world on September 22nd, 1999. At the beginning of the game, you were treated to an amazing CG intro. This CG intro was the best in the whole Resident Evil series, and I believe that it is still the best until today. This CG intro was not related to the plot of the game directly, but indirectly showed what happened to the Raccoon City. Yes, the police forces, a new force that was sent by Umbrella to help the people, they were all faced hordes of zombies, and the people were slaughtered one by one. This intro still makes me amazed at how well a Resident Evil movie can be, but we will never see something like this in a real movie, I guess.
This is Chopper Delta, preparing to drop off at area E95070. Over.
What are they?
graphic quality of this CG cutscene was amazingly well, but after that you were treated to the start of the game, and right at the beginning I faced a huge question mark. A building exploded and Jim Valentine was vomited out. What the hell happened? Where is this place? Why the Jill was there? Why the Jill was not harmed? These were questions I asked and I never got the answer in the whole game. Yes, later on there were interviews stated that this was the Jill's apartment. But this kind of cut corners are clearly stating that the team behind the project were in immense pressure time-wise. But this pressure did not make them fail. Yes, this game was released on critical and commercial acclaim. It was not able to recreate the success that Resident Evil 2 had, but nobody expected that to happen in 1 year. But this game was amazing nonetheless, and even today, many of the hardcore fans believe that Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is the best game in the whole classic versions. The exploration of the Raccoon City streets were a major part of this game's experience, and the first third of the game was there. I gotta say that the streets of Raccoon City were nothing like the places that I used to live and grow, but the streets were oozing by the feeling that some people used to live here just a while ago. In the city you could see many puzzles that did not make any sense for any city in the world, but this is Resident Evil we are talking about, so everything was made sense in a nonsensical way. And I gotta say that it was a heartwarming goodbye to Raccoon City, because the story was about to wrap the Raccoon City's incident and everything with it. Number of the enemies at the screen at the same time were increased to create more tensions, and at the same time they have created some assets to fight this kind of new situations. The environmental storytelling was improved. There were many instances that you were inside the street and you hear a shout or a scream or something, and when you reached the place that you heard the noise from, you could see that the person who have screamed succumbed to the zombies attack and died, or you could see some people shoot a couple of rounds and run away just in front of your eyes. This kind of storytelling was very good for the time and still makes the game playable. On the other hand, new enemy types, new bosses, new environments, new gameplay mechanics, and a lot of other fresh things were added to the story, to the lore, and to the gameplay. So, this game had a new world with some amazing new mechanics that came to stay, and some amazing ones that were disappeared without any trace. In the end, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis sold around 3.5 million units, which was a great number for that time. This game was received extremely positive by the critics, and it got around 90% in the average of the ratings. Fans loved it, critics loved it, and everyone was happy. So Capcom was ready to move forward and focus on the next generation consoles. But they had some major issues on the way that we will cover in the next installments. But for the Resident Evil 3, I gotta say that this game remains one of my favorites, one of the all-time favorites of the fans. And it was the end of an era, a great conclusion to Raccoon City's story that we will cover in depth in the next 9 videos of Resident Evil 3 retrospective. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching, guys. Please like it and share it with your friends, because we want to have a lot more awesome audiences such as yourself. Please leave a comment and let us know what series you want us to cover and anything that you want to discuss with Retrohaven. That's it. I will catch you in the next video. Hello guys, and welcome back to Resident Evil 3 retrospective. This is the second part of our retrospective series on this amazing game, and we want to cover what the story of Resident Evil 3 is all about. Story-wise, this was one of my favorite franchise settings. So, let's see what Capcom brought to the table and what kind of sick things happened to the Raccoon City in its final days. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and welcome to the second part of our retrospective for Resident Evil 3. After what happened in Resident Evil 1, 5 people who were the only survivors of the Spencer Mansion tried to create awareness inside the city. But the chief of police, Brian Irons, were so corrupted that he did not listen to them, on purpose obviously. He tried to create chaos within the police forces, and the SARS unit was gone for good. Chris tried to fight the situation in his own way and tried to focus on finding Umbrella's trace. We don't know what Barry and Rebecca did, and the chicken heart Brad Vicker tried to stay inside the police force as a normal person. But Jill Valentine, she had other ideas. She prepared herself to leave the town and try to expose Umbrella in another way. But she was a little bit too late in her planning, because on September 28th, the zombies have overtaken the city. And the Jill Valentine we all love and admire had to escape the city with the worst outfit possible. Irons made sure that no outside help come to the aid of the people. And as a result, the police forces were the only chance that Raccoon City had. But he created chaos in the chains of command. And as a result, the police was slaughtered by zombies. At the same time, Umbrella tried to look good. They sent their own mercenaries army in order to help the people, but they had other things in their mind as well. This army that was called Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, or UBCS as short version, were not that lucky. As soon as they landed, they faced hordes of zombies beyond their imagination, and most of them died in horrific ways. So, the few survivors inside the town tried to escape based on their own preferences. At the same time, Jill Valentine was sitting inside her apartment when she heard everything is gone to hell. Finally, a gas leak made an explosion inside her apartment, and it was not safe to stay anymore. So, she hit the streets of Raccoon City. She didn't have any major purpose at the beginning, so she thought the best way possible is to reach Raccoon City's police station. On the way, she met one of the old colleagues she had, Brad Vickers. Brad was attacked by a zombie inside a bar. Jill helped her, and after that, Brad dropped the bomb. He said he's coming after us. And when the Jill asked, "Who's coming after us?" he said, "You will see, he's after the STARS members," and escaped from the other door. Jill had no other choice, so she tried to find a way to reach the Raccoon City's police station, and finally managed to reach the RPD. But when she reached there, she was treated to a surprise of her life, and a nightmare that she will remember forever. A couple of seconds after the Jill's entrance to the main yard of the police station, a wounded Brad Vickers followed up. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a huge monster jumped in front of Brad Vicker and destroyed his face with tentacles he had.
No!
This new tyrant seemed smart. He was talking to Jill and called for the STARS members. And Jill knew that she had to run, so she did what she learned best in all these years. She escaped with all her might and entered the Raccoon City's police department. Inside the department, she found her way to the STARS office, and inside the STARS office, she gathered some weaponry and some items that she could use to reach the other side of the town. Just when she was about to leave, she heard a radio call. The radio call was broken, and a guy named Carlos was talking about his platoon is destroyed.
Our platoon is cut off. No survivors found. This is Carlos. Send in support immediately.
And he was searching for survivors. Jill did not have time to think about this because a great and huge giant was after her. So she grabbed her stuff and started to leave the police station. But just when she reached downstairs and took the last step inside the staircase, Nemesis burst out of window, this time equipped with a rocket launcher. Jill could not believe what she was seeing, so she had to run away one more time. This creature was totally different from any zombie or even the tyrant that she has seen. While running, this creature was opening the door and running after her. Jill tried to shoot him a couple of times, but it almost had no effect on the creature. So Jill used the knowledge she had from the layout of the police station and escaped from Nemesis one more time. She went to the old side of the town, and when she reached there, she faced a new face of horror. Death was everywhere. Inside the restaurant, she found a half-dead man, and when he woke up, Jill found out that he is one of the Umbrella's mercenaries. The sound was a little bit familiar, and Jill realized that he was the guy who called on the radio. They did not have time to talk because Nemesis once again showed up. Jill had to take drastic measures this time, so she used some fire and destroyed the gas tanks behind the Nemesis. The explosion was so heavy that almost destroyed the whole restaurant. The Nemesis body was on the floor. Carlos questions Jill's action, but she said they don't have time for any explanation because Nemesis was about to get up on his feet. This behemoth was totally unstoppable. After escaping that place, Jill found out that the guy's name is Carlos Oliveira. He was a part of UBCS, so Jill could not trust anyone from Umbrella. But Carlos claimed that he has no idea about what happened. He is here only to help the civilians. Jill had no other option. The number of the survivors were too little that she had to rely on someone else to try to escape. So she joined them.
Is the reason why this whole mess began.
Look, we're just mercenaries, hired hands. Do you really think the master would tell his dogs why they have to retrieve the stick he just threw? If you want answers, you should talk to someone else. I am not with Umbrella. We'll have to finish this later. Believe it or not, we're only here to rescue the civilians. If you can trust me, then help us. Think about it.
They reached a cable car, and inside the cable car there were two other people from UBCS. One of them was badly wounded, and his name was Mikhail. The other one was Nikolai. Nikolai seemed to be the highest ranking amongst this team and objected to Jill's presence inside the cable car at first. But when he found out that Jill is one of the STARS members, he agreed to ask for her help. They need to gather some parts for the cable car to reach to the other side of the town and reach the place where there was supposed to be a chopper waiting for them. So they split it up. All the three of them tried to gather the resources they need. Jill tried to find some gasoline, some batteries, and some wires. But in the way, she figured out a dirty secret about Umbrella units. Nikolai killed one of their own in a very suspicious manner. Jill had to keep her guards up. On the other hand, almost everywhere that she goes, after 5 or 6 minutes, Nemesis showed up. And she had to be on her toe to run away from the Nemesis and all the other horrors inside the streets. Finally, while Jill was about to discover the last part she needs, she faced Nikolai one more time. It was a garage, and Nikolai was busy examining something. Jill took the part she needs, But a huge explosion surprised her. Explosion was exactly in the place that Nikolai was. So she figured out that Nikolai is dead. She returned to the cable car, gave the news to Carlos, so they had to leave. They started the cable car successfully. Destination was Raccoon City's clock tower. But before they reached there, they heard a huge roar from the other cart that Mikhail was laying down. The voice was very familiar. Some huge monster repeating stars. Yes, Nemesis found the way inside the cable car. Jill tried to help the Mikhail, but Mikhail made the self-sacrifice to save his colleagues one more time. He used a grenade on Nemesis. Nemesis was down one more time.
Jill, get out of the cable car now!
Mikhail, wait! Don't!
Get out of here! Hurry! Just a little closer.
Mikhail.
No! The brakes are out!
It's useless!
But as a result of this explosion, the cable car lose its ability to stop, and they crashed inside the walls of the clock tower. Soon Jill found out that Carlos is still alive. They teamed up and fixed the clock tower's bell. The bell was ringing, and it was about the time that they were able to escape. The chopper appeared. The nightmare was about to get finished. But this finish was totally different from what Jill had in her mind, because out of nowhere Nemesis shoot a rocket and destroyed the chopper.
We're saved. Down here! It's finally over.
The building behind Jill was collapsing. She had nowhere to run this time, and she had to face Nemesis one last time. She fired everything she had. She dodged every attack that came from Nemesis, but this creature was beyond anything that she has ever seen and faced. Finally, Nemesis was able to take the upper hand. She shot one of his tentacles toward Jill's shoulder and infected Jill as a result. Jill was about to lose the consciousness. She fell down, but everything was not lost. Carlos appeared out of nowhere and shooted the rocket launcher at the same time that the Nemesis was about to shoot a rocket toward them. The explosion was close to the Nemesis' face. His eyes were injured and he was tumbling around like a drunken man. He ended up inside the fire and went down. Carlos took Jill and took her to the chapel close by. She was infected and she was about to die soon, so he had to do something. He knew that the Umbrella's labs founded the hospital inside the Raccoon City, and the hospital was close by. So the best shot he had to find a cure for Jill was inside the hospital. He went there. Inside the hospital, he figured out that there is indeed a vaccine that he can create to cure Jill. So he tried to find the components for the vaccine. But trying to find the components revealed another truth to him. Nikolai was still alive and he was killing other Umbrella UBCS soldiers. Before he can question what happened, a dying Umbrella soldier used a grenade to destroy Nikolai.
I'm one of the supervisors. That's all you need to know.
Wait!
Nikolai was fast and jumped out of the window. Carlos was fast as well and jumped out of the way, so this face-off did not go anywhere. Finally, Carlos was able to create the vaccine and went back to Jill after almost a handful of hours. He injected Jill with the vaccine, but the whole process of recovery took more than 1.5 days. Yes, Jill woke up on September 30th night.
We barely made it. How do you feel?
I'm okay. What happened to you?
I just fought with that monster. I've got some bad news. Nikolai's still alive.
But I thought he was dead.
That guy doesn't know the meaning of the word dead.
What is he after?
I don't know. All I know is that he is our enemy. I'm sorry, Jill, but there's something I gotta take care of. I promise I'll meet up with you later. But don't worry.
Jill and Carlos had no other option. They had to push forward. They tried to find another way out of the city, and they reached an abandoned factory. Nemesis was still there. The fire destroyed his suit, and the suit was there to control the mutation, so the Nemesis turned into a huge monster with multiple tentacles. So this double threat made them go to the factory. Inside the factory, they found out that the government is about to destroy the whole Raccoon City using atomic bomb. So they did not have much time. And in the end, Jill figured out that the Nikolai is still alive. Nikolai explained everything to Jill and said that she will kill Jill if she gets any chance. But before he was able to do anything, Nemesis attacked Nikolai and destroyed him as well. Jill had to face Nemesis one last time. This time, they were locked inside a room which was about to get destroyed by acid bath. Jill fired everything. Nemesis was as strong as ever. All of a sudden, Nemesis tried to shoot one of the tentacles toward Jill, but she dodged, and as a result, a valve was open. A huge amount of acid dropped on Nemesis, and it was working. The Nemesis was in pain, so Jill knew what she had to do. She tried to open every single valve that she see inside the way, and each one of them hurt Nemesis unlike any other weapon, and in the end, the huge monster lost his head and fell down. Jill escaped the room just before everything was dropped inside the pool of acid, and Nemesis' body was dissolved as well. After defeating Nemesis, Jill met with Carlos one more time, and the Carlos said somebody called for Jill on the radio, and the chopper was there to save Jill, so they had to just reach there in time. They separated one more time to find the landing zone. Jill found a military lab, and inside the military lab everything was destroyed. A lot of tyrants were there. Tanks, dead soldiers, and dead tyrant bodies were everywhere. Jill went inside and found an experimental railgun. Nemesis was alive, but not in the form that we expected. He was like a blob. Then he started feeding on a dead tyrant's body and started mutating as a result. Jill's guns had no effect on him, so she started the railgun and shoot the Nemesis one last time. But this creature was beyond resilient. Even the small part of his body was still trying to destroy Jill. So, Jill took a magnum and said the iconic line that we all know and love. You want stars? I'll give you stars. She unloaded 6 rounds on the Nemesis and killed the creature for good.
want stars? I'll give you stars.
After that, she reached the platform with Carlos, and the chopper landed to help them. The pilot of the chopper was no one but Barry Burton. Finally, he saved Jill in the end, and they escaped Raccoon City. But before escaping, they saw the missile coming toward the city. They witnessed the destruction of the Raccoon City from the safe distance, and this city was history at last. But Jill was escaped with the knowledge that could destroy Umbrella.
It's the end.
That's it. Umbrella's going down.
And now we have a rather unfortunate turn of events. It seems that the President and the Federal Council have passed judgment over the civilians of Raccoon City. The President and Federal Council have ruled that the Bacillus Terminate operation is the best course of action for this extreme situation, and have since executed. Based on that fact, Raccoon City has been literally wiped off the map. Current reports have the death toll surpassing the 100,000 mark. Our hearts go out to those poor civilians of Raccoon City.
With that said, that's it for the video, guys. Did you enjoy the story in Resident Evil 3? What part of the story was your favorite? Let us know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click on the bell icon so you get notified about whenever we release any new video. Please like this video and share it with your friends, because we want to have a lot of more awesome audiences such as yourself. Okay, peace and out. This is Daniel from Retro Haven, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Hello and welcome back to Retro Haven, guys. This is the third video of our Resident Evil 3 retrospective. In this video we will cover the characters that were available in this game, both playable and non-playable. So stay tuned and let us know which character is your favorite. This is Daniel from Retro Haven, and welcome to Resident Evil Retrospective Part 3. Jill Valentine. Obviously, at this stage everybody knows who is Jill Valentine in this channel. And since this game took place a couple of months after the Spencer Mansions incident, so there is no difference in her age. For the people who don't know, her blood type is B. She is half French, half Japanese, standing at 166 centimeters high. One of the major things about Jill in Resident Evil 3 is that she was dealing with trauma. Obviously, she was shocked of what happened inside the Spencer Mansion, and more than that, the disassembly of STAR's team and the behavior of the police force against what they have brought as information. Obviously, this game did not add anything to her character, but she's still lovely as always. Carlos Oliveira. Carlos is the only other playable character in the whole Resident Evil 3. He is from South America, but we don't know exactly where he was born. He was formerly a guerrilla fighter, but after some time and showing some skills in the battlefield, Umbrella recruited him for UBCS. He was born in 1977. That made him 21-year-old at the time of Resident Evil 3 incidents, and his height is 1.75 meters. The funny thing is that Carlos never appeared in any other main installment. and his other appearances were in recreations or reimaginings of Resident Evil 3 story. Mikhail Victor. We exactly don't know what Mikhail did and what was his rank in UBCS, because he never was in a good shape when we saw him first. He was born on 1953 and was 45 at the time of his death. Based on the guides of Resident Evil 3, actually he was the captain of the group that Carlos and Nikolai were a part of, but it never was confirmed inside the game. His blood type was A and he was 178 centimeters tall. Nikolai Zinoviev. Nikolai is one of the most elite members of UBCS. He's nicknamed Silver Wolf, and he was a sergeant in the UBCS as well as a monitor in the background. As a sergeant, he was forced to save the civilians, but as a monitor, he was forced to find evidence about the T-Virus, destroy them, and destroy anybody who should be witnessed anything against Umbrella. There is not much that we know about his age, but we know that he is around 1.87 meters tall, which makes him the tallest member of the UBCS that we know about. He is a very cold and calculated person, and he's very successful as a monitor, but he was unlucky to run into some certain person called Jill Valentine. In the end, there are multiple versions of his destiny that we are not sure which one was canon. In one of them, he was killed by Nemesis. In the other one, he was killed by Jill Valentine while trying to escape using a helicopter. And in the last one, he escaped unharmed. He weighs more than 100 kilograms and his blood type is A. And one fun fact is that there was a great Russian poet with the same name whom sadly passed away in 2018. Tyrell Patrick. Tyrell was another member of UBCS, and he was a monitor as well. But he did not know that he would be betrayed by a certain Nikolai. His character was not that developed in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, but in the remake, they have improved his character and his role inside the game. He was 185 centimeters tall, and his blood type was AB. His origin was from Suriname it seems, but we are not sure and there is no source to confirm that, except Resident Evil Archives. He was 32 when he died, and after getting shot by Nikolai, he blew himself up to get the Nikolai with him to hell, but he was not that successful. Murphy Seeker. Murphy was a giant among the UBCS members. He was 1.91 meters tall. His blood type was B and he was a citizen of Raccoon City. He was not as lucky as the other UBCS members who have survived this incident and was killed by Nikolai. There's not much that we know about this 27-year-old guy, but it seemed that he carried some major and important information in his laptop that made Nikolai kill him and take the laptop with him. Brad Vickers. Brad is a very well-known person amongst the fans of Resident Evil. He was a member of the Alpha team inside the Raccoon City's STARS team, and he left the team alone to make the incidents inside the mansion possible. He finally came back and saved the people, but in the end he was not able to run away from the Raccoon City and was hunted by Nemesis. One fun fact is that up to Resident Evil 3, he was the only character who appeared in all the main installments, more than any other major character. And just in case you don't know, at the time of his death he was 35 years old and his height was 174 centimeters. His blood type was O and he was the most brave person that you could imagine. Rest in peace, Brad. Soon Leon or Claire will come to claim your key. Dario Rosso. There is not much that we know about this guy. Dario was a man with his family living inside the Raccoon City. But when he faced a horde of zombies, he left his family behind just to be able to escape for a little bit longer. Actually, these things are not shown inside the Resident Evil 3 game, but if you read the Resident Evil 3 manhwa, you would know what happened to his family. In the end, when Jill suggested him that they can escape the city, he preferred to lock himself up inside a container and said he's rather to starve to death than get eaten by those zombies. There are two fun facts about him. The first one is that before getting on board of the cable car and leave the Raccoon City's first part, get back to the start of the game. You will see that the Dario left his container and he was eaten by zombies. You can find his diary and a lot of gunpowders inside the container he was in. And the second fun fact is that, did you know that the voice actor for Dario is the same person who have repeated the words stars in the whole game? Yes, Nemesis and Dario both have the same voice actor, and he called Tony Rosato. Barry Burton is the last character we would see inside the game. And he is an honorable mention because only in one of the cases you would see the ending with the Barry, and we are not sure that it was the canon version or not. Barry is the same old loving person we have seen and met in Resident Evil 1. He's a family person who have betrayed his friends because Albert Wesker took his family as hostage. But in the end, he came to the right direction and saved the people inside the mansion by shooting a bullet toward Wesker. But it was not enough for him. He felt the guilt about what he did. And in the end, when he had a chance, he took a chopper and came back to Raccoon City to save the only star members alive inside the city, which was Jill Valentine. Okay, that's it for the video, guys. My favorite character was Mikhail, and I'm kind of sad that he didn't have any chance to shine more than what he already did with his heroic act. So let us know which one you loved in the comment section down below. Like and share this video with your friends because we want to have more awesome audiences such as yourself. And don't forget to click on the bell icon down below to get notified about our latest videos. Hello and welcome back to Retro Heaven, guys. This video belongs to the gameplay elements of Resident Evil 3. Many people may think that watching Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 footage will not show much difference in gameplay departments, but believe me, there were huge improvements for Resident Evil 3. So stay tuned to see what it has to offer. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven and welcome to Resident Evil 3 Retrospective Part 4. Camera and presentation. To be honest, camera and presentation in Resident Evil 3 is not that different from Resident Evil 2. But the major difference comes from the environment. Because in the first third of Resident Evil 3 you spend your time inside the Raccoon City streets, you will see new things with the same graphical style. The camera angles are perfect as always. And the problem that I had with Resident Evil 2 camera and the object positions did never reoccur in Resident Evil 3. The second third of the game is placed inside the clock tower, and this part is one of the most amazing set pieces I've ever seen inside any Resident Evil games. You can clearly see that this is an ancient building, and combining this with the RPD cameo, you can say that we have amazing environment within the game. But the camera angles within the environments are masterfully placed as well. You can see almost everything you need to see, and you are not able to see many things that create tension in an extreme level. Character models are a bit better than Resident Evil 2. We can see more details in the characters, and it seems that the polygons have been improved for both main characters and zombies as well. Pre-rendered backgrounds are a masterpiece as well, and once again Capcom did an amazing job with this. So with that said, we can give this game the score 100 out of 100 for the release time and 90 out of 100 for today's modern standards. Combat. The combat in this game have been improved dramatically compared to Resident Evil 2. When we talk about the combat, we have to look at different aspects of this combat. First one is shooting. Since Jill is more trained, she is more agile, she is better, and she is more accurate using the guns. But there is a new mechanic inside the game that changed the whole dynamic of the gameplay, and it is the dodge mechanic. I gotta say, the dodge mechanic is amazing when you pull it off, but that's the main problem. When you pull it off, it's not in your hand. To be honest, I never figured out how to dodge enemies in a consistent manner. You should press aim and shoot at the same time as your enemies attack, but I gotta be honest, most of the time that I dodged the enemy, I tried to shoot them, and I dodged instead. Knife is more useful compared to Resident Evil 1 and 2, and the combat mechanics make it more enjoyable to pop up zombies' heads. In total, I gotta say that the combat in this game is a little bit better than Resident Evil 2, but it's not perfect at all. So I will give it 70 out of 100 for the time of release and 40 out of 100 for today's standards. Puzzles. It's fair to say that the puzzles are an essential part of the classic Resident Evil games, and Resident Evil 3 delivered on this department. After the puzzles were dumbed down a little bit in Resident Evil 2, in Resident Evil 3 we see a huge improvement in the puzzle department. You can see a lot of puzzles that doesn't make any sense in the real world, but in Resident Evil lores it will be very considerable. For example, consider a puzzle in the water treatment facility. This water sample puzzle may bring a lot of sad memories from your childhood, and it was amazing, but I don't know how I can solve it very easily today. In total, backtracking and puzzles in this game are very good, and there are some puzzles that may lead to some places that you are not supposed to go in the normal playthrough, but it will reward you a lot with this kind of puzzles. Usually some weapons and some ammunition will be waiting for you in such cases, and it makes the replayability a strong point in Resident Evil 3. So if we want to give a score, I gotta say that the puzzle department in Resident Evil 3 will be at around 90 out of 100 for the time of release. And for today's standards, it will get around 80 out of 100. Atmosphere, story, and engagement. When we talk about the atmosphere in Resident Evil 3, I gotta say that they did an amazing and fantastic job with this game. The first third of the game is inside the streets of the Raccoon City, and the streets oozing with personality. You can see a lot of details in every corner, and you can imagine that the people used to live and love this place not a long time ago. Places such as stores, gas stations, hospital, and especially the Raccoon City's clock tower are extremely memorable for RE fans. Personally, I did not like the environment in the final part, and the abandoned factory did not have the personality that we saw up until that point. About the story, I gotta say that the story is so dumb that I love it. There are a lot of loopholes inside the story, and there are a lot of corners that were cut in the development process. For example, when you see the beginning of the game, as I have mentioned in the review, you don't know how the hell Jill was blown out of her apartment like that. But the story is engaging enough to make you invest time and even play the game again and take other decisions. One of the most important things that comes in terms of engagement for this game is the life selections. The life selections did not appear in any other Resident Evil, and I don't know why. The tense and suspensefulness of these life selections made me scared every single time when I was a kid. Most of the time, the result of your selection did not have such an amazing impact that you could not finish the game, or anything that breaks your gameplay experience. But they were tense. You felt that if you fail in select one of them in time, something horrible may happen. The curiosity would be rewarded, and some of these life selections would end up to new events inside the game and even a new ending. So try to play the game multiple times with different selections and see what might happen. The score for this part will be around 90 out of 100 for the release time. And when it comes to the modern day, I gotta say that the atmosphere and the engagement is still intact. So I give it 90 out of 100 as well for modern day score. Control scheme. The control scheme for this game is more fluid compared to Resident Evil 2 and 1, especially to Resident Evil 1. You can move more freely, and the control of Jill feels a bit smoother compared to controlling Leon and Claire. On the other hand, a very much appreciated quick turn have been added to this game. And it's a very simple thing, but it was very necessary in order to get away from the enemies. As I said before, dodge mechanic was unreliable, but it was very useful when you could pull it off. So we could say that the control scheme is almost the same with minor improvements. So we will give it around 80 out of 100 for the release date standard, and for the modern era, based on the hate that I will see these days for the fixed camera and tank control, I gotta give it around 50 out of 100. Extra content. The extra content for this game includes some of the standard ones that we have seen before and some of the new ones that we would see in the later installment as a mainstay. The first thing is clothing. Yes, you can get a lot of new costumes inside the game. When you finish the game, you will get awarded with a key, and this key will open a boutique inside the streets of Raccoon City. You can find a lot of new costumes, and one of them is not even a costume, it's a full skin. And you can play as Regina from the Dino Crisis inside Resident Evil 3. Next one is guns. You can unlock weapons with infinite ammo. But using these weapons and unlocking them is not as easy as you could do before. In order to do that, you have to play a new gameplay mode called Operation Mad Jackal. This is the first instance of the Mercenaries mode that we would love in the other games, but with some differences. First of all, you had to get back to the beginning of the game, and in your way you had to kill enemies, save other survivors, and pick up many items that you could pick. Each one of them will add to your timer, and when you reach at the beginning of the game, you will face the shadow of the Brian Irons, that you may know him from Resident Evil 2. He was the chief of the police inside Raccoon City. And don't forget that you have a bomb inside your body. If you don't get there in time, you will blow up. When you get enough points, you can unlock different weapons with infinite ammo, and even a Gatling gun and a rocket launcher with infinite ammo. So this time, it's not about how you play the main campaign, but the way that you play this new scenario will determine which kind of weapons you can use inside the main campaign. Extra contents are good, but not as good as we got inside Resident Evil 2. So we will give it around 80 out of 100 for the time of release, and 50 out of 100 for modern days standards. So in total, the average score for the release time is 85 out of 100. And for the today's standard, we have to give it around 66 out of 100 on average. What's your score? Let us know in the comment section down below. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like and share it with your friends. And let us know which one of the gameplay department changes were your favorite. Don't forget to click on the bell icon to get notified whenever we release a new video. And let us know what you want to see next in the comment section. That's it, this is Daniel from Retrohaven, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Hello everyone and welcome back to Retrohaven. So this is the time for us to look at the Resident Evil 3 ports. This game surprisingly did not have that much of the ports compared to Resident Evil 1, but it still had its fair share of surprises when it comes to porting this amazing game to the other systems. So without further ado, this is Daniel from Retrohaven and welcome to another Resident Evil 3 retrospective. So the first port that we are going to talk about is Microsoft Windows, and we have a ton to deal with in this case. Actually, there are 3 different ports for Microsoft Windows for Resident Evil 3. The first Windows port for Resident Evil 3 was created by a third-party company called MediaKite. This port was released in 2000. The output resolution for this port was much higher than what we had in PlayStation, and you could see the game come to life in 640 to 480 pixels. So in year 2000, to run this huge game, you needed 250 megabytes of space inside your storage, and you should have at least 48 megabytes of RAM, but the suggested megabytes of RAM was actually 64. Jokes aside, this game was not a technical marvel even back then, and by the time it was released for Windows, many other games with higher graphic and higher output was there in the market, and it was a little bit disappointing to see a game great like that was released so late that it would lose many of its audience. Another third-party company was there to release Resident Evil 3 for Windows 98 as well, and this company was Eidos. Eidos port was a lot better than what we had before. In this game, the improvements were not limited to the screen resolution, and tons of outfits as well as the mercenaries mode were available to you at the beginning of the game. Many of the people in my generation know this game on Windows using this version. At the year 2000, when this game was released, the game was massacred by the critics. Yeah, as I said before, this game was released so late that many people have been moved on to the next generation of the gaming. But this game was not that empty. The reason that you had the mercenaries available right after installing was that the Capcom was recording the progress and had a kind of high score community for Resident Evil 3. The game also had an original mode as well as an arranged mode, and both of them had easy and hard mode, which were called heavy mode for hard mode and light mode for easy mode. But despite all these things, the reception of the game did not make it a groundbreaking achievement for Capcom. Finally, after a long time, a Japanese company came to rescue and released the best Windows version so far. SourceNext was a known company by then, and they have released Resident Evil 3 on PC on a manner that everybody in the world who have played this version believes that this version is the best by far. The FMVs had much higher quality compared to other PC versions, but the main resolution of the game was still 640 by 480. Still, the release date of the game was 2006. And guess what was released on 2006? PlayStation 3. Yes, it was released so late that 2 more generations of game was laying around and showing the ugliness of the graphic to the players who were willing to pay the amount to buy this game. But for hardcore fans, it was a gem nonetheless. One of the saddest things of 2000 was the Dreamcast for me. This console was way ahead of any other competitor, but was smashed inside the market because of things that Sega got wrong in the market. You could play arranged mode on this version, and this version also had the options to go online and check the Resident Evil 3 Last Escape. The game was released in both Japan and Western markets at the year 2000. All the costumes from PlayStation and PC versions were available there. At the same time, the Mercenaries mode was unlocked from the beginning. So, if you wanted to experience something like the Windows port on a console, Dreamcast was your home. Finally, in the year 2003, the last version of this game was released on a console. GameCube had this game available for the users, but the problem was that it was too late. Many people were complaining why they have to pay full price for a game that is clearly an artifact. The graphics were outdated, and many things inside the game was so bulky by the time that people were not that amazed by the GameCube version. But speedrunners still love this version beyond any other version. Still, even as a hardcore fan, I understand why people were mad. Games like Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1 Remake were available on the same console. So, with the same price, they could go for the games that were much better than Resident Evil 3 in terms of graphic, gameplay, and anything else. Finally, when digital distribution was available, Resident Evil 3 were available on almost everything that had access to PSN and Xbox Live. But no matter how, you have no excuse not to play this masterpiece. Just shut your brain off for some time and believe that you are a time traveler. You got back to the latest days of the previous century, and then you will enjoy and appreciate what they have done with this game, and you will know why it holds a special place in the hearts of people like me and you. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Please like the video and share it with your friends because it brings a lot to our channel. And subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thank you, peace, and out. Hello and welcome back to Resident Evil 3 Retrospective. This is Daniel from Retro Haven, and in this video we want to take a look at the weapons in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. In this game, we had a lot more to play with compared to Resident Evil 1, and Jill had more confidence that she can take out any enemy with the arsenal of weapon that she had at hand. There are total 11 different guns that Jill is able to use 10 of them. So, let's dive in and take a look at what she has to offer. This is Daniel from Retro Haven, and welcome to Resident Evil 3 Retrospective Part 6. So, as always, we will start in a low note. The knife in this game is as useless as ever. Unless you are a Resident Evil god, you cannot use the knife in your favor. Yeah, I might have used the knife 1, 2 or 3 times in the whole game, but generally the knife is not that useful to get anything. The best use for knife that I found was in Mercenaries mode. Because when you equip the knife, you can make the quick dodge easier without wasting any bullet, and you can save a lot of time. But in the original game, there is no such thing as mercy when you are using knife. If you want to kill a normal zombie, you have to hit them around 15 times with your knife until they go down. And if you want to kill the bosses with this knife for the final Nemesis, I have counted one video of someone who is much better than me in Resident Evil 3, and he hit the Nemesis around 150, 160 times. I lost the count in the middle of the battle. But just imagine, you have to dodge him, you have to be able to avoid getting any damage and hit this guy 150, 60 times with knife. I don't think that's worth it unless you are some kind of amazing speedrunner, and good for you. The model for this knife is a very general and generic one, so we don't have anything to say for the graphical model and the original model. But it looks cool and doesn't bring anything new to the table that we haven't seen in Resident Evil 2 or 3. The next thing we want to take a look at is handgun. We have 3 types of handguns in this game. The most basic one that you will start the hard mode with is the Jill's standard handgun. It's a M92F custom handgun that was designed for the STARS members. Remember, this is Resident Evil 3 1999 and we have not yet introduced Samurai Edge. So, bear with me and stick with this gun because it's a good and useful gun. As I have mentioned before, if you start the game on hard mode, you will start with this gun, but if you start the game on lower difficulties, you will start with assault rifle, and you can find this gun in the first item box. This weapon uses 9mm rounds and has the capacity of each magazine for 15 rounds. The most common enemy in the game are zombies, and it's quite random how many bullets you have to use against the zombies, because if you want to count, I had done things with zombies with only 1 shot and get a critical, or get up to 10 shots to take down a zombie. But usually it takes around 5 to 6 bullets to take down a zombie in hard mode. It's best to use this gun against the zombies and Cerberuses, because it's not that strong against creatures like brain demons or hunters. But you can take down these fast creatures with the handgun as well, but you have to be very good at dodging and you have to position yourself in a way that you can move out of their way. I could not count the number of handgun bullets you can get in this game because first of all, you can use the reloading tool in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and this will give you the opportunity to create handgun rounds, but you can create other types of ammunition, so it's all up to you how many handgun rounds you want to have in this game. But we are not done yet. If you use reloading tool and create handgun ammo 7 times in the game, you will get the enhanced ammo. Yes, enhanced bullets are much stronger than the normal bullets, and you can use it with the same gun without any issues. Using the enhanced bullets, you can use around 3 rounds to take down any zombie in the game. Even stronger creatures like hunters will take around 3 or 4 bullets to get down. So enhanced bullets is very useful, especially against the enemies, and I would save them to fight Nemesis or other bosses in this game. The second handgun you can use in this game is called Sigpro. Sigpro is a type of reskin for Jill's Beretta. You can use this weapon with Mercenaries, and it's also called Mercenaries handgun. You can use it with Carlos and Nikolai. I'm not sure what kind of handgun Brad Vickers was using before meeting his demise in the hand of Nemesis, but from what I saw in the back alley and inside the bar, I think that was the same handgun as the Mercenaries, and it was a Sigpro in my opinion. But correct me if I'm wrong, I might have seen things different from what you have seen. Once again, you can use the normal handgun bullets or enhanced handgun bullets, but you are not that lucky to use enhanced handgun bullets with Carlos. You can use it with Nikolai in the Mercenaries mode because he has the bullets in his inventory. When it comes to the power and effectiveness, it is on par with the Jill's handgun. So there is not much to talk about. Whatever you heard about the Jill's handgun, apply it here and you will get the same result. The third and the most powerful handgun you can use in this game is called STI Eagle 6. This weapon is not available in easy mode and you can only use it in the hard mode. And in order to get that, you have to earn it. Yes, you will get this gun in two different parts. You will get Eagle Parts A and Eagle Parts B. But how you get them? You have to defeat Nemesis 2 times in the game. And don't worry, these 2 times are not after one another. So if you don't know which one of the Nemesis fights you have to fight him, then you are not lucky. You have to kill him every single time to get everything that you get. And believe me, most of the times he drops things that are very useful. After picking up Part A and Part B, combine them to get the STI Eagle 6. This weapon has a scope and it's the fastest handgun you can use in a classic Resident Evil. The chance of critical using this gun is much higher than the chance of critical with a normal handgun. The firing rate is much higher and it's more accurate in all the ways. But there is a catch. You cannot use enhanced ammo with this gun and it's not a good thing, but it's so powerful against normal enemies that I would use it any day. And against the bosses it will give you a huge chance to use your handgun instead of much stronger weapons. There is a very easy way to get this gun. If you want to take an easy route, then go to the restaurant first before going to the news station. Select the option that you throw the lamp and blow up Nemesis. Then you can go and pick up the first part from his body. The next part is as easy as the first one. When you reach the clock tower and you reach the part that you have placed some of the things inside the clock, then you will face Nemesis inside the balcony. Use the electric cord and electrify him. Then he will drop the second part for you. But the drag is that after you reach the main hall, he will follow you. The last thing I would like to mention is that you can use this weapon with the Carlos in the Mercenaries mode. Next up is shotgun as always. In Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, we have 2 types of shotgun. The first shotgun you will get is very much early in the game. It is simply called shotgun. And by the look of it, it is a pump action shotgun. This pump action shotgun is the same thing that you used to use in Resident Evil 2. It is very effective against most of the enemies. And it's very useful for crowd control when you are facing multiple enemies at the same time. Once again, the number of the ammunition you can use with this weapon is all up to you. You can use your gunpowder B to craft shotgun shells. But if you do it 8 times in the game, you will start making enhanced shotgun shells. These shotgun shells are extremely strong, which is extremely effective against most of the enemy. If you want to get the most out of it, keep your gunpowder type B and mix it as BBB, and then you can get a lot of enhanced ones. But this is not the only thing that you will get in terms of shotgun in this game. There is another shotgun called Western Custom M37. And you must have guessed by now that you cannot get it in the easy mode. You have to use the hard mode and defeat the Nemesis to drop these weapon parts for you. Once more, there are 2 different parts that you have to mix. M37 Part A and M37 Part B. M37 is superior to normal shotgun in almost every way. It has a faster reloading time, the firepower is increased, and the speed of shooting rounds is much higher compared to the normal shotgun. But there is one drawback. Once again, you cannot use the enhanced shotgun shells using this gun. But to my simple eyes, this gun with normal shotgun shells has the same power as enhanced shotgun shells on normal shotgun. So it's always a winner to use it. But it's very hard to kill Nemesis 2 times and get this. And unlike handgun, there is no easy way to obtain this weapon. Based on my own experience, I am not familiar with this weapon at all in real life. But since it is a custom weapon, you can make one for yourself. There is no denying that it is possible, but it is not that common. The next gun is one of the most useful weapons in the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and it is Grenade Launcher. This time the name is simplified and it's simply called Grenade Launcher. The model is the same as any generic grenade launcher that you would see in the real world. But the handle is a lot different from what we see in the types like M79. You can get this weapon in the STARS office, or if you are unlucky you have to wait to go to the power station to obtain it. But in the end, you will deal with most of the bosses in this game using this weapon. If you are a fan of GDQ like me, you will see that many people who do not get this weapon in the police station call this a run killer. The ammo type for this weapon has been improved compared to Resident Evil 2. And you get the normal grenade rounds, you get the flame rounds, acid rounds, as well as freeze rounds. The last two are mostly effective against the bosses such as Nemesis, but watch out, Nemesis can dodge your bullets. Despite that, it's very satisfying to shoot Nemesis using a freeze round and watch him get a little bit slower than usual. Remember, using acid rounds against the Nemesis is very useful in many of the fights, but if you are stuck in the fight in the clock tower, I strongly suggest you to use a mixture of acid rounds and freeze round to take him down as easy as possible. We have talked about getting grenade launcher in the police station or the power station. But what happens if you go to police station and find out that the grenade launcher is not there? Instead, you will get the Magnum. The Magnum is a very powerful weapon, but it's not as useful as grenade launcher. Magnum bullets are very hard to find in this game, and on the other hand, mixing 3 C gunpowders will give you some Magnum rounds. So it's not worth it because you have to waste 3 gunpowder A as well as 3 B gunpowders. So it's not gonna worth because you can make a lot of other types of ammunition using the same gunpowders. The best way to use the Magnum is against the enemies such as hunters, because most of the times you will kill the hunters with just 1 Magnum bullet. It's very powerful against the zombies because it will pop their head. One of the worst things about the Magnum is the huge recoil you will get from shooting only 1 bullet, and the firing rate is low as a result. One of the new weapons of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was Assault Rifle. It was the first time that we could use an Assault Rifle in Resident Evil game, and it was very useful. In easy mode you would start the game with one, but in the hard mode you could obtain it a little bit later. It is a full automated weapon, and you can get the magazines for it, but the magazines don't have the number of rounds you can use. Instead, it has some kind of weird percentage to it. It is extremely useful against the Draindemos, hunters and zombies because it will stagger them with every shot, and this delay in their movement make it easier for you to hunt them down. Each magazine contains around 300 bullets, more or less, but you can go to the menu and examine this gun and put it on manual mode. When you go to the manual mode, you will shoot burst fires, and each burst fire will reduce 1% of your whole magazine. The first times you will face Nemesis, it's very useful in the fight. So don't forget, this is one of the most helpful weapons because you don't have to carry a lot of ammo, and having 1 magazine on you will give you enough firepower to move a lot of enemies out of your way. One of the most important differences between Assault Rifle and most of the other guns in the game is that you cannot craft ammo for Assault Rifle in any way using reloading tools. So what you get is what you have. The next weapon is a fictional one. Umbrella was working on a weapon to fight against the BOWs, and they have created something called the Mine Thrower. The Mine Thrower was given to a UBCS soldiers to use against the enemies inside the Raccoon City, and you can find it on one of the dead soldiers in the clock tower as Jill Valentine. This gun carries 6 needles, and each needle can detonate and blow up a huge amount of enemies at the same time. But be wary that this weapon is one of the few ones that can harm you as well as the enemy. So don't use it against the hunters or other enemies that can move swiftly toward you, because if they get close to you, you will get blown away as well. The reason behind this is that when you shoot a dart, it will get some delay before exploding. So this delay will give the enemy enough chance to get closer to you. but use it against Nemesis in boss fights, or use it against the zombies when they are high in number, because one bullet can take down multiple zombies at the same time. Another warning is that don't waste the bullets. You won't get much bullets for this weapon, so watch out where you use it and how you use it. Since this is a fictional weapon, you cannot find any example of the real life models in the world, and there is no comparison in this part. The last weapon you can obtain in a normal campaign is rocket launcher. You can get the rocket launcher in the Dead Factory late in the game, and it's very useful for two things: fighting off Nikolai and fighting the last Nemesis battle. You get only 4 rounds, so don't get your hopes high to use it as you like. This is the strongest weapon you can handle inside the game, and you will get no ammunition for it. Jill gets it in the normal playthrough, and Mikhail has it obtained in the Mercenaries mode. It is very easy to miss this weapon in the normal campaign. You have to get one facility keycard inside the game, and then move back to the part that you have solved the water sample puzzle. Use this card and then you will get a key. You can use this key later to open up some place in the steam room, and this locker has this weapon stored inside. Okay, we have covered all the weapons in the normal campaign, but there are more to come. If you play the Mercenaries mode, you can unlock unlimited weapons for almost everything that we have talked about. If you use the unlimited pack on Mine Thrower, then it will give you a homing gun. It will seek the enemies and kill multiple enemies at the same time. So I suggest you to go and play the Mercenaries mode until you unlock this one. But there is another thing that is not available in the normal game, and you can unlock it in the Mercenaries mode. That's a Gatling gun with unlimited ammo. This Gatling gun is very strong but a little bit slow to start. On the other hand, things like infinite assault rifle, infinite handgun, infinite magnum, and infinite rocket launcher are all obtainable using the Mercenaries mode. You cannot unlock anything by finishing the game fast or with high scores. No, the only way to get these is playing Mercenaries like hell. In the end, there is a bonus weapon that you cannot carry in the game, and it's a railgun. The railgun that you will use to destroy Nemesis once and for all. This railgun was an experimental gun that was created by the army, and it is so huge that after using it once or twice, it will get into the cooling mode, and you have to leave it behind to get obliterated with the other things in the Raccoon City. Okay guys, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and please like and share this video with your friends because we want to have more awesome audiences such as yourself. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And with that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Hello and welcome back to Retro Haven, guys. This is finally the time to take a look at the enemies of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And with that said, we are ready to go and take a look at what kind of horror this game brought to the table to scare us more than Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and welcome to Resident Evil 3 Retrospective Part 7. Zombies. Zombies in this game are not that different from the zombies you have seen in Resident Evil 2. The variety is appreciated though. You could see fat zombies this time, and sometimes these zombies can climb some of the stairs. The number of the zombies that appear in one screen has improved compared to Resident Evil 2. And the best weapons you can use them is handgun if you have some distance, and shotgun if they are close by. Don't waste the ammunition of your stronger weapons on these creatures. In Resident Evil 3, zombies can get turbo. Turbo zombies were available in the previous games as well, but they are more frequent in Resident Evil 3. And since you have dodge mechanism inside your armory, then you can dodge them easier, but they are faster and they are stronger compared to the previous versions. And don't forget that they were the civilians of the Raccoon City a while ago. In total, you would face around 220 to 250 zombies based on the level and the road that you will take. The cause of infection once again is T-virus, and these T-virus have been carried through the water supplies inside the Raccoon City. Some people got it, beat the other ones, and most of the city have been infected with T-virus and turned into mindless zombies. Zombie dogs. Once again, these creatures appeared in Resident Evil 3. They are normal dogs that lived inside Raccoon City but got infected with T-Virus. This time, the number of them have been improved. You would face around 30 zombie dogs in the whole game. The best weapon to use against them is once again handgun. But if you are not that handy with handgun, then try to use shotgun. Don't waste much stronger bullets on these creatures. Once again, you have to use the audio cues. Just shoot them when they fall down. They will make some noise and then get up. Just shoot a second after the noise. If you get trigger happy and shoot multiple times, you will not hit them more than once, because when they are down you cannot hit them easily. So shoot, wait, shoot, wait, shoot until they make an awful sound indicates their deaths. Infected crows. These annoying creatures are back in Resident Evil 3 and you will face around 30 of them. Once again, try to avoid them. Try not to kill them, and if you are forced to kill them, try to use handgun. Because using any weapon except handgun will give you the same result as handgun, so don't waste your precious ammunition. Obviously there were the normal crows that feed on the infected dead bodies and got infected by T-Virus as a result. They appear in hordes, and most of the time these packs can pick you to death easily, so don't stop, just run to the next door. Drain Demos. These creatures are the result of the infection of T-Virus within the fleas. And as you know, fleas like to suck your blood out, and these creatures will do the same. Many people mistake two creatures inside the game as one. One of them is Drain Demos, and they are very dangerous if they can outrun you and get to you in hordes. You will face around 20 of them inside the whole game, and the best weapon to use against them is shotgun and rocket launcher if you run out of shotgun shells. But remember, they are tough. They might take 3 or 4 shotgun bullets to get killed. Brainsuckers are the other creatures that people get mistaken for Drain Demos. They are very close to Drain Demos in terms of appearance and attacking style, but the difference is that they will attack your head and try to suck your brain out. Their color is a little bit different and they move a little bit different as well, so take notice, and whenever you see a brain sucker instead of Drain Demos, forget about using shotgun, just use your grenade launcher and use acid rounds if possible. Maximum number of the brain suckers that I faced in the game was 14. But remember, there is a 50-50 chance in any encounter with Drain Demos that you will get brain suckers instead. A fun fact about the brain suckers and Drain Demos is that both of them may drop baby creatures that you can squash walking on them, but it is very rare to happen. The giant spiders are back in Resident Evil 3 as well. You will face them in 3 different locations, and if you are lucky you will face them only in 2 or 1 location. They were the normal spiders infected by T-Virus, so the best way to dispose them is to stay a little bit away and use shotgun. But remember, they will drop their children and they can be annoying, so if they drop their children after dying, just exit the door and re-enter to reset the room. Worms or snakes are back in this game. They are annoying and they don't worth killing. We don't know which animal was the origin of this creature. They were snakes or the normal worms living inside the city. But nonetheless you will face them underground most of the times. Just try to run away because they can spawn infinitely. If you had to fight them, use your handgun. They will go down with 1 or 2 bullets max. Hunters. After they were absent in Resident Evil 2, they are back in Resident Evil 3 to replace the terrifying lickers. There are 2 types of hunters that we will face inside this game. Both of them will appear in the late game after the hospital section starts. Hunter Beta are the creatures with long fangs and long teeth. They are not perfect though. Their skin shows a lot of abnormality, but they can one-hit kill you easily if you are not on your toes. The best weapon to use against them is assault rifle because it will stun them in place. But if they are in numbers, watch out. Try to leave the room and reset. Kill one of them, reset again, kill one of them, reset again, and like this. You will face something around 15 Hunter Betas in the whole game. But there are another type of hunters inside this game that were designed for aquatic environments. These creatures are called hunter gammas. These creatures don't have fangs, they don't have sharp teeth, but they can devour you in one bite, and they can jump much further than the normal hunters. You will face 4 of them at most, but since they are easier to kill, try to use your shotgun. We don't know the animal origin of these creatures, but they were artificially created inside the Umbrella's lab and was sent to Raccoon City to use as test subjects. Thank you for watching this video, guys. We appreciate if you like this video and share it with your friends, because we want to have a lot of more awesome audiences such as yourself. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and with that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Hello and welcome back to Retro Haven, guys. This is the part that we will take a look at the bosses of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And in the retrospective part 8 of Resident Evil 3, we will take a look at only 2 bosses that this game has to offer. Yes, surprisingly, this game does not have multiple bosses compared to the other ones. But Nemesis makes up for everything because he has multiple stages, and each time he will pose a new threat. With that said, get ready for a scary ride and take a look at what the bosses in Resident Evil 3 will bring in the way of Jill Valentine in order to escape Raccoon City alive. Before we start, I gotta say that there is a great surprise about Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. In this game, we see only 2 bosses, but we never feel that this game lacks anything in the boss department. Yes, only Gravedigger and Nemesis are available as a boss you will fight, but the number of times you will face them, but the variety in the style and the places that you face them makes it not that easily forgettable. With that said, let's start with Gravedigger. The Gravedigger, we don't know where the hell it did come from. It looks like a worm with giant teeth, and we exactly don't know what was the source and what the cause of this mutation. But he is a presence under the Raccoon City. You will face this creature 2 times. The first time you will face him, it's not that easy to avoid him. The fight takes place in a narrow corridor and you have to activate 2 switches, then you can use the ladder and escape. Or you can fight and destroy this creature, at least temporarily, because he will not get killed and he will only retreat for the moment. Next time that you fight him, it's in the graveyard. This time there is no escape. You have to fight him and you have to use something very strong. I suggest to use grenade launcher because it's the best weapon to use against him. Magnum works as well, but grenade launcher is a much better choice. There are multiple ways to kill this creature. The first one is shooting him to death. The other one is that drag the fight and cause enough damage to him to see a cutscene. This small cutscene shows a lamp is falling down. After that, when you shoot that lamp, the electricity will run into a puddle. And just wait for the Gravedigger to touch that electrified water. He is dead and crisp, so you can escape. To be honest, this creature is a very hard fight inside the game. If you are not on your toes, he can kill you immediately. A couple of attacks in the hard mode will put you in danger mode, so just listen to the audio cue, because you might not see him attacking. Whenever you hear something is crumbling inside the wall or under the ground, just run away a couple of steps back and then start shooting. Nemesis. Nemesis is the goddess of retribution and vengeance in the ancient Greek. And it's a fitting name for a creature that stalks us through the whole game. We will face Nemesis in 3 different phases, and we will face this creature 15 times in the whole game, and we have to fight him a handful of times. So, what are these 3 phases, and where did the Nemesis come from? To begin with, Nemesis is created from a normal man. After the failed experiments on normal tyrant, Umbrella was able to create Mr. X as a more smart version of the tyrant. But this was not enough, because they could not give specific instructions beyond normal ones to Mr. X. So they have created a more smart and more intelligent creature using a parasite. This parasite was called NE Alpha, and they connected this parasite directly to the spinal cord of a normal man, and then they injected him with T-virus. The mutation was controlled, and this creature was so smart that it could speak, it could use weapons, and it could outsmart many smart people. In the end, Nemesis was a masterpiece in terms of POWs. They sent him to the Raccoon City to eliminate the remaining STARS members. He was equipped with a code that was controlling his mutation and reduced the amount of damage he would have been taken. He is a lot faster than our main character, Jill, and he can run fast and come to the other rooms, which was not a normal thing in Resident Evil 2 and 1. When you reach the next room, just when you exit the screen that you will see at the entrance of the room, Nemesis will reappear. So, outrunning him will be extremely hard. Outgunning him will be much harder. But if you kill him each time in the hard mode, he will drop you something. He will drop you parts for your handgun and parts for a shotgun. You can create a specific type of shotgun and handgun which are faster and stronger than normal handgun and shotgun. You face the normal type of Nemesis around 10 times, and in the end, when you defeat him in the clock tower, he loses his protective coat to the flames. This makes him mutate beyond control, but he still maintains his intelligence. The mutation creates a lot of tentacles, and these tentacles are new weapons that he will use instead of the rocket launcher he had before. He's more agile and more aggressive, and his ranged attacks can be extremely lethal. You will face this phase of Nemesis 4 times, and in the final time you have to fight him. There is no way to run. You are both locked in a room that will be disposed in a couple of minutes. The best weapon to use against this one is acid. So use grenade launcher with acid rounds or freeze round, or use the acid valves on the wall to kill him for good. Last phase of the Nemesis is not Nemesis anymore. It's not an intelligent person. It's not a creature that can identify the target and eliminate it based on conclusions. It's a normal POW that will attack anything in sight. But it's more resilient. When you use the rail cannon, you can destroy this creature for good. But I gotta warn you, it's not an easy task to fight him. So the best weapons you can use against this creature is rocket launcher, and if you have not obtained a rocket launcher, grenade launcher and mine thrower are the best weapons you can use. Some people prefer Magnum to use in this fight, but I was never able to perform well in this fight using Magnum. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like and share this video with your friends, because we like to have more awesome audiences such as yourself. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video.
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
Hello and welcome back to Retro Haven, guys. In the 9th part of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis retrospective, we will take a look at the files and hidden storylines within the game. With that said, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and welcome to another episode of Resident Evil 3 retrospective. Jill's diary. This is one of the files that you might not be familiar with, but it's very important for the people to be able to link Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 3. As we have discussed in Resident Evil 1 videos, we know that the events of the Spencer Mansion took place on the 23rd and 24th of July 1998. And when it comes to the diary, we will cover what Jill was thinking after around 2 weeks since the start of the incident. So let's see what this file is all about. August 7th. 2 weeks have passed since that day. My wounds have been healed, but I just can't forget it. For most people, it's history now, but for me, whenever I close my eyes, it all comes back clearly. Zombies eating people's flesh, and the screams of my teammates dying. No, the wounds in my heart are not healed yet. August 13th. Chris has been causing a lot of trouble recently. What's with him? He seldom talks to the other police members and is constantly irritated. The other day, he punched Elron of the boys' crime department just for accidentally splashing Chris's face with coffee. I immediately stopped Chris, but when he saw me by, just gave me a wink and walked away. I wonder what happened to him. August 15th. Midnight. Chris, who has been on a leave of absence for a vacation, called me, so I visited his apartment. As soon as I walked into the room, he showed me a couple of pieces of paper. They were part of a virus research report entitled as simply as G. Then Chris told me that the nightmare still continues. He went on and said that it's not over yet. Ever since that day, he has been fighting all by himself, without rest, without even telling me. August 24th. Chris left the town today to go to Europe. Barry told me that he would send his family to Canada, and then he would follow Chris. I decided to remain in Raccoon City for a while because I know that the research facility in the city will be very important to this entire case. In a month or so, I'll be joining with them somewhere in Europe. That's when my real battle begins. So, as you can see, these files are showing that the Jill was struggling within herself. But when she saw that her friends are still following the case, she decided to join them. But she decided to stay inside the Raccoon City to cover the incident from the inside. She had a hunch that the factory of Umbrella has something to hide. But the only thing that she didn't see was the zombie outbreak that would happen in less than 1 month of his last entry inside the diary. The next file we want to take a look at is the written order to supervisors. You will find this file around the park area, and it shows what are the motivations of the supervisors sent by UBCS. The file is like this. Mission requirement, Bravo 16. Obtain and secure sample of all information pertaining to this case. Observe and record combat data on UBCS. 2. Destroy all evidence including the medical facility that has the medical treatment data. 3. Check the guinea pig's ability to accomplish the mission. Once your mission is complete, evacuate the area. Remember that you must not help anyone who is not a supervisor, nor bring anything back that might be traced to where it belongs. Well, this file has a lot to say in a very short note. First of all, what the hell is guinea pig? My guess is that they are talking about Nemesis itself. Yes, they thought of Nemesis as a guinea pig, one of the best samples of their experiment, and the way they look at everything, people, their products, everything in between. And on the other hand, it clearly shows why Nikolai is killing everyone and leaving everything behind, why he blew up some places, why he destroyed other places, why he tried his best to kill his comrades. These are the final parts of connecting the dots together to see a bigger picture and see why these things happen. That's why this is one of the most important files in the whole game. The third file that we want to take a look at is Dario's memo. Dario is the first person you will see inside the gameplay. Yes, he is the scared guy who locks himself in a container at the beginning of the game. But if you have the time and get back to his place after you have finished with the police station, then you might be able to see some surprising thing. He has finally left the container, but the zombies were able to find and kill him. If you go and search inside the container, you will find his memo as well as some gunpowders. So let's see what the file has to offer. I can't help but wonder if anyone will read these words. But writing them will help me maintain my sanity, if nothing else. After I've become a meal for those undead monsters, will the GIs responsible for sealing off the town laugh upon discovering my corpse? So, is this how it's supposed to end? I don't want to die. I'm just not ready. My wife, daughter, mother, my entire family has been killed. But none of that matters anymore. Right now, my life is the only important thing. That's all that matters. I never would have pictured my end to be like this. I had so much left to do. Rather than becoming a salesman, I should have tried my hand on being a novelist. It's what I've always wanted. But my mother would only tell me, you have a long way to go. Why did I ever listen to her? But this looks like the end for the great Dario Rosso, novelist extraordinaire. Cut down before his prime. Well, this shows a lot about the personality of the Dario. First of all, he did not care about anyone. And it shows that his mother suppressed his dreams since the young age. Yes, he did not care that his family died. He only thought about his life. But in the end, he remembered all his dreams. And all he had was regrets. But not for leaving his wife and daughter to get killed out there, but for not reaching his dream before dying. Well then, that was a long one, but I have enjoyed creating it. And I hope that you have enjoyed the video as well. If you did, please like and share this video with your friends, because we like to have a lot of more awesome audiences such as yourself. And please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. With that said, this is Daniel from Retrohaven. Peace and out. Hello and welcome back to Retrohaven, guys. This is the 10th and the last part of our Resident Evil 3 Nemesis retrospective. In this video, it is finally time for us to take a look at the Easter eggs and hidden things inside the game that you might have missed in the original playthrough. Without further ado, this is Daniel from Retrohaven and welcome to the last part of Resident Evil 3 retrospective. While searching for this one, I found multiple amazing translation errors in the Resident Evil 3. Just listen to this. September 28, daylight. The monsters have overtaken the city. Somehow, I'm still alive. Well, isn't that one hell of a nostalgic line? But the funny thing is that the original text was nothing like this. Actually, if you take a look at the original Japanese text and with the help of people who can translate Japanese to English, you will find the text like this. September 28th, daytime. There are no longer the scream of the people running about trying to escape. However, I have survived. Well, that was a whole different vibe. But I don't know why. I love the wrong translation. So this one was done wrong, but in our favor. You cannot change the memory of the childhood that easy, can you? Another example of wrong translation is about Mikhail. In the game, when you reach the cable car, they will call Mikhail as lieutenant. But as a matter of fact, the kanji they have used in Japanese version can be translated as captain. Yes, Mikhail was the captain of that platoon. There are multiple other instances of wrong translation, but these two are sample for all the things that you can think of. Either way, they did not change the whole concept of the game in a dramatic way. The next Easter egg I want to talk about is in-game references to games and movies. The first thing that I want to mention is the advertisement for two of the Capcom games. First one was Biohazard 4. In the downtown area, if you take a look, there is a cinema, and inside that cinema there is an upward ramp. On the left side of that upward ramp on the wall, there is a poster named Biohazard 4. The image for this poster is exactly the image of the box art for the American version of Resident Evil 2. But it shows that they were planning for Resident Evil 4 from that time. But to be honest, I think that plan was end up something not Resident Evil-ish. Yes, that plan was end up as Devil May Cry. The next one is inside the hospital. If you have keen eyes, you might have seen this one. When you enter the hospital, you will see a poster of Dino Crisis of all games. Yes, Dino Crisis was a real game inside the Resident Evil 3 and Raccoon City's world. The next one is about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Inside the police station, inside the West office, you will see a lot of lockers, and one of the lockers labeled JoJo, and it's a direct reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which was a popular anime and manga back then. The next one is something that was shared with Resident Evil 2 and something new at the same time. Yes, we have more references to the Back to the Future movie. The poster of the Back to the Future that you could see inside the STARS office is still there, but when you reach the gas station, you can find the DeLorean car that was used by Doc. This car has American flag dropped on it, and if you play the game right now, it's very hard to miss it. The next Easter egg is Brand's presentation inside the Resident Evil 3 world. If you go to the shopping district, you can find a banner that reads Taco Bell. This one is an obvious reference to Taco Bell. Another ad that you can find in the Uptown is the 7 Down app, which is a clear reference to 7-Up. The next one is a vending machine that you can find with the name Chocha Cola. Yes, if you have not found the relation between Coca-Cola and Chocha Cola, then I don't know what to say. The next one is about the director's signature. Director of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was Kazuhiro Aoyama. Kazuhiro Aoyama is a great man, and I have even seen videos that he's watching people speedrunning this game. In that video, he has mentioned something that I have missed. Yes, his name is written on one of the gravestones inside the graveyard. And the other names on the gravestones are all belong to the other developers inside the game. So next time you are playing the graveyard section, you will find that every single one of them is a reference to one of the people who have worked hard to bring you Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And I think that they deserve to be mentioned within the game, not only inside the credits. The next thing I want to talk about is rejected items. There are many items inside the game code, and there are some other items that we would see inside the game's beta version. The first one is the Jill's inventory portrait. Yes, this inventory portrait is totally different from what we see in the final product, and I personally prefer the final version, but this image is interesting as well. The other one are 3 coins that must be used for some puzzle or something inside the game, but I could not figure out what they used for. There are yellow coin, blue coin, and red coin, and each coin has a picture of a monster engraved on it. There are a lot of more items that can be used for puzzle solvings, the puzzles that was cut from the game. The first one is a heavy chain, and I don't know how it was supposed to use, but even the icon of the object is created, and even some screenshots of the location we obtain or place this one is available. The next one is the dummy key that looks identical to the diamond key that we used in Resident Evil, as well as a keyring that has multiple keys that obviously I have no idea how and when they were supposed to get used. One of the puzzles inside the game that you will solve easily is putting out the fire. When you find the fire hose, it's easy to use it when you have the wrench, but the original idea was that the hose was supposed to be broken. Then you would get the broken hose as well as the hose joints separately. Then you should combine these two to be able to put out the fire. The next item is something called Giga Oil. I don't know why they have changed this oil to another generic one, but it most probably was used to run the train. Finally, we have a remote control without batteries. Then you can find some batteries and put them inside the remote control, and you will get the full remote control, which is obviously used for some puzzle solving, to turn on some TV and watch something. I believe that it was supposed to get used inside the pharmacy, but I'm not sure, and I cannot find any link to prove or disprove this one. Finally, we have the rejected enemies. The first enemy was zombie horses. This clearly shows that the ideas they have used inside the Resident Evil Outbreak was clearly nothing new to the dev team, and they thought about these things a long ago. The next one is a wildcat. Thinking about a wildcat is very scary because they are fast and agile enemies that can kill you easily. But as well as the zombies horse, they left in the state of concept art. The next enemy was something that was called transforming creature, and I have no idea what kind of creature was that. The concept art is showing the different stages of this creature. The main creature was a little girl, and then she transforms into a monster that has two big mouths as the right and left hands. So it's obvious that she could grab you and stun you in place and then eat your head with the main jaws. The next one is Tyrant Inferior. These were test subjects or normal zombies that went through some mutation. They were something between a tyrant and a zombie, and obviously they were supposed to be much stronger than a zombie but much weaker than a tyrant. Obviously, presentation of these four enemy types inside the game would change the tone of the game amazingly, but we will never see them. Okay guys, that's it for the video. We have finally finished Resident Evil 3 retrospective, and I'm happy that we have shared what we know about this game with you. Please leave a comment and share your favorite moments in Resident Evil 3 with us. And like and share the video with your friends, because we would like to have a lot more awesome audiences such as yourself. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already at this moment. That's it, this is Daniel from Retro Haven, and soon we will be back with another set of retrospectives. Until then, peace and out.